Welcome to another episode of Monster Monday from the Ready to Die channel. This series explores the design of a creature I have built for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The stat block for this creature can be found over on the Monster Monday blog, as well as the Twitter and Discord, all of which are linked below. This week, we are tapping into a brand new source of monsters that I can share with you, Blazamut from Palworld. Now I've played a bit of Palworld, but haven't gotten quite far enough to find one of these guys. However, I have seen them around and thought they were probably the coolest looking critter, so I wanted to take a crack at this craggy creature. Having done so, I've got to admit, I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to make. The design of this creature was honestly a little sparse, and a lot of the abilities amounted to simply dealing damage in an area. I tried my best with it, so be sure to let me know what you think of it, and if there's anything I could do better to put together more pals in the future. Level-wise, it seems a little difficult to settle on the options for this creature, but it is a higher level one, which led for me going towards something a little bit higher, though not for extreme levels. For the Blazamut, he certainly seemed large, and given that he was named after Bahamut, I settled on the dragon typing. However, I also wanted to incorporate the fire typing of the Blazamut, which led to simply adding the fire trait to this burly, blazing beast. That about covers the basics of it, so let's take a look at those numbers. With how massive the Blazamut is, and just how bulky he is even outside of his sheer size, a high strength score felt right. Honestly, the majority of Blazamut's abilities are area attacks that manipulate earth and fire, but it absolutely seemed like a creature that should be equipped with a decent amount of might. Its constitution is between high and moderate, given its association with earth, which leaves its dexterity and wisdom at low values. Neither a particular focus for its kit, and its intelligence and charisma are even lower, though, like Pokemon, pals have some measure of sapience. That low wisdom does lead into a moderate perception, with dark vision allowing it to navigate the dark caverns of its volcanic homes. For its skills, both of its acrobatics and survival are low, the latter of which helps it survive the harsh environments it tends to favor, while also letting it better hunt down prey. However, a higher skill is its athletics, which end up using a high bonus. It doesn't inherently play a part in the Blazamut's kit, but it has that high strength score that influences this. Moving into the defenses of this dire dragon, its bulk makes it the broadside of a burning barn, leading to only a moderate armor class. There's a lot of this creature not to miss, but to make up for that, it does have a high pool of hit points. This is complemented both by its immunity to fire damage, but also a fairly high weakness to water, based on that fire typing that I mentioned earlier. That general burliness lends to a high fortitude save, and then goes down the line with a moderate reflex and a low will save, which is a pretty standard array as far as all things go. At least when it comes to the monsters I design. I just hope I'm not becoming too predictable. We round out the basics of the beast with its offensive capabilities, which features 2 strikes. The Blazamut has those big old mitts made of molten matter, represented as a fiery fist with the agile and reach traits. This has a moderate bonus to hit, same as its Jaws strike, but with that agile trait, it only deals moderate damage, which factors in the fire damage that I included for it. Meanwhile, its Jaws lack those fancy traits, so they come punching in with high damage. This lets the Blazamut create some decent effect with its strikes, but it isn't anything obscene because its damage does come in elsewhere. Right off the bat, the Blazamut actually comes with a few innate spells, which use a high DC for its level. These spells are a few fireballs of varying ranks, representing its ability of the same name, whereas its impaling spike is inspired by the rock lance that it eventually learns. Alongside this is Stony Spike, a passive effect that removes the metal aspect of the spell and turns it to rock and stone.
Rock and stone!
Fitting with the more igneous imaginings of this immolating iguana. Based off of its most interesting sounding ability, the Blazamut has Ignis Rage. This is a 3-action ability where the Blazamut channels energy through the earth before detonating it in a small emanation that deals limited use area damage. though this damage is split between bludgeoning and fire damage to represent both the explosion and the stones flung into the air. The save DC for this is high, and uses a fortitude save mostly because I wanted to use a different save, with both of its spells being reflex based, and also because I think the ground exploding beneath you, and simply the act of staying on your feet in such a situation, is something you kind of just have to weather. The Blazamut then leaves the area as one of molten stone, which deals fire damage to creatures within it and slows them down. Though it does cool fairly quickly, with it ending by the start of the Blazamut's next turn. Whereas that takes up 3 actions, it doesn't leave the Blazamut with room to do much else. To that end, I designed its Scorching Breath as a variable action activity. This again has a high DC save and goes back to Reflex, but deals below unlimited use area damage, if only a single action is spent on it. At 2 actions, it's still just barely more than unlimited use area damage, though it does start getting close to limited use area damage with 3 actions, and fills a 45-foot cone. This is based on the Blazamut's Ignis Breath, which I renamed just to give it a bit more distinction from Ignis Rage. And like its source material, it can set creatures on fire, though only on a critical failure. I'm a little unsure on making this an ability without a cooldown, because maybe it gives the Blazamut too nice of a third action, but 3d6 is pretty pitiful damage, especially if anybody has fire resistance, so I personally think it's fine. But if you disagree, be sure to let me know, because that covers what I've put together. Burning with bodacious bravado, this burly beast blazes about the battlefield with bluster abounding, bringing bountiful births to blistering barrens. As I said at the start, I'm not sure how many pals I'll be doing. Be sure to let me know what you think of the Blazamut, and if you do in fact want to see more. I struggled a little bit with making this one, as something other than just a range of area attacks, and I'm not entirely certain I succeeded. The passive abilities, varied attacks, and status effects of Pokemon really help those creatures stand out, round them out, and I kinda feel like that is lacking a little bit from Palworld. That said, let me know what you think of this creature and what other sorts of creatures you'd like to see down in a comment. You can check out other versions of this monster, or other ones I've made, over on the Monster Monday blog, Twitter, or Discord, which are all linked below. Thanks for watching, and have a monstrous Monday.